Provoe.
Healing from within. The power of self-compassion. For decades, I carried the weight of childhood trauma, often facing criticism from family and friends for my lingering struggles. It wasn't until I embarked on a journey of self-discovery that I discovered the root of my insecurities. You see, this challenge of insecurities we all harbor is part of what makes us human, and it's normal. No matter how perfect we want to seem, I think it's a losing game because nobody is ever going to be perfect. We are not perfect. We must accept that we are not perfect. But some of us, our quest for perfectionism stems from how badly we were criticized in our childhood. Some of us could do no right. Everything we did was heavily criticized by our caregivers, and we internalized it and became such critics of ourselves. Deeply embedded in my psyche, these experiences had shaped my self-perception and limited my potential. Because of how much doubt that had been baked into me about my abilities or potential, I couldn't find myself taking on tasks easily, because growing up, the consequences of failure was there. So even as an adult, it became hard to permit myself to try and fail. I had to learn to give myself that permission slip that, hey, failing is not the end of the world. You don't have to be so hung up on success to the point where you're scared to try. Okay? To heal, I had to turn inward and practice radical self-compassion. I had to care only about my well-being and peace of mind, above the validation of the rest of the world who say, oh, well, you did it, you won, you made it. As we speak, I am 36, pushing 37, no marriage, no children. And I get criticized. Oh, it's getting late, you're not married. Is it that you can't afford to replicate your genes? Is it that you're going to permit yourself to die without having children? Is it that you wouldn't have succor in old age because you didn't start early? But hey, by going inward, I'm able to cultivate the self-compassion to quiet the noise on the outside and the inside, to permit myself to be human as long as it takes to unlock what it is destiny has for me. I silence the critical voices, both external and internal, and listen to the wounded child within. He has been begging for attention to solve the puzzles, the mysteries of the years gone by. Why did I feel the way I felt? Why did I behave the way I behaved? What was the root cause of my triggers? Why was it hard for me to expect people to be, human? Why was I always expecting robotic perfection, both of myself and others, to the point where it was almost impossible to be in a relationship with anyone because my expectations were just so high? Turned out the inner child, the wounded child within me, was running the show. It was like, until you pay attention to me to resolve my issues, I will never let you move on with life as an adult. And that's what led me down this path. This self-mastery journey of finding out what it is that makes us tick, unraveling the stories behind the quirks and, traits that we have known to adopt and people ascribe as our personalities, okay? Through shadow work, I confronted the painful memories and transformed them into sources of strength. Rather than letting them cripple me, I made them my servants. I turned every adversary, every ill vice, every, it could be short temper, it could be talkativeness, it could be people pleasing, every single weakness, every single byproduct of an insecurity I found in myself, I found ways to teach about it, write about it, and convert it into a source of strength, to coerce myself to rise above the puny mindset that I had developed as a result of how challenging I grew up. Okay? This journey of self-compassion has allowed me to emerge stronger, more resilient, and more authentic. Today, I can say my story without holding back. Every single thing that is supposed to be a scar, I wear today as a badge of honor. You know, from the 5-year-old who, lost his mom to parental separation, not divorce, separation. My mom moved out when I was almost 5, and less than 2 years later, a year plus later, I had a stepmom who was Muslim, who converted me to Islam, and I got introduced age 7 into the neighborhood as a Muslim boy, even though I was born Christian, even though I was Igbo. I found myself having to learn how to speak Hausa like my life depended on it. I found myself answering questions. Have you prayed? How many times did you pray? Have you fasted? How many times did you fast? And I had to do everything within my power to not be found wanting by those who felt I was a faker and I didn't belong in their religion. I had to cultivate the self-compassion for that young boy who was terrified, who went through a lot of trauma, growing up in an environment where he felt his life was threatened by simply being set up, put in a position to play a role that he'd never signed up for. My stepmom stayed with us for barely 2 years and left, but what she had done and how she had introduced me to the society couldn't be taken back. The ball was already set rolling. I was already on a collision course that I had to find my way out of there. For the full story, or for more detailed breakdown of what really transpired, get my book From Trauma to Triumph, The Mental Health Battles of an Inscrutable Maverick. You would understand what I'm talking about. But for now, understand that self-compassion is a prerequisite. If we're going to make it past the trauma and get to the point where we have some semblance of triumph in our lives, we would have to get past criticizing ourselves and cultivate some self-compassion. Have some humanity for what it is that we have been through. Okay?